everybody. Welcome back to 2 Point Lighting. I'm Tate.
And I'm Matt.
And today, we're going to be talking about... Okay, you've got some topics, right?
Yeah. So, Tate doesn't know the topics that I have, and I don't know Tate's topics. So we're both going to each other blind. So it'll be...
this is as natural of a conversation as we can get.
Yeah. So I guess I can start. So the first topic that I have here, from the world of movie news.
Okay.
So as of recent, within the last few weeks or so, it was announced that the fifth John Wick movie would be entering, or would be, I guess, officially announced, sort of. They're beginning, I think, the writing portion. I don't think they're officially working on the production side just yet, but
they're in pre-production.
Yeah, it's beginning in development. So anyways, I guess some main thoughts that I have.
Okay.
In terms of this news,
let's do a spoiler warning. I've seen John Wick 4. You've seen John Wick 4.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Spoiler warning. 3, 2, 1. He dies.
Right.
Okay.
So that's kind of one of the main talking points. Is that how are they going to do it, because he dies in the fourth one?
So do you think it's a prequel then?
So that's what I was hoping for, and that's what I kind of figured. And even back when the fourth one came out, and people were saying, just how well it was done and how they wanted the series to continue, but then the conversations among certain reviewers that had said, well, since he had died in the fourth one, how would they do a fifth one? And so the conversation that was going on a few years ago back then was well, you would do a prequel. And something that really piqued my interest was doing a prequel of The Impossible Task, which was, in the lore of John Wick in terms of his story, is something that was mentioned in the first one and is sort of mentioned throughout the other films as well.
Okay, so I've seen John Wick 1, 3, and 4.
Okay.
I've never seen the second one.
The second one builds a little bit on The Impossible Task because the premise one of the main the main antagonist in the second one is a guy who comes back to ask John for a favor because apparently John had went to him and because he had needed help for the impossible task, and so he was in debt to this guy.
Yeah,
his name was Santonio, I think was his name. And so essentially the prequel of The Impossible Task, which would be really cool because it's hyped up to be this really dramatic, challenging task in which was given to John Wick so that he could get out of the life of being a hitman and seek retirement.
Okay.
And so in the first movie, the main adversary there, he has a monologue at the very beginning of the movie where you're just trying to find out who John Wick is.
Yeah. And
he is the one who assigns John Wick the impossible task, and he's very dramatic with how it all... Well, the little bit that we know of it, where essentially, it just sounds like it's a pretty cool event,
Yeah.
So that's what people were hoping for, but and again, I don't know how official some of these news sources are, but there's been a lot of reporting going on that the fifth John Wick won't be a prequel.
It'll be a continuation, so it's aha, he never died.
Which is...
kind of ruins the fourth. At that point, why would you watch the fourth movie, right?
Yeah, it just takes away from the impact. And I guess opening up this conversation to even just the larger side of things where movies where someone apparently dies and then they get brought back to life, or it was revealed that they actually weren't really dead. It just proves that, I don't know, that there wasn't really a plan at the very beginning. They're just writing these as they're going along, which, to be fair, it's not like the John Wick franchise is built off of the story. It's more so how well the action is filmed and then the world building and how they build it up.
Yeah.
So they are writing these as they go, but for myself, it just gets to the point where there needs to be closure for John Wick himself, and I feel
that you got that, right?
Yeah.
He finally got get out of where he wanted to be, right?
Yeah, I believe there's a line somewhere in the fourth movie that's someone was talking to John and says like the only way that John Wick will know peace is in death, because if he's alive, his purpose is to kill essentially. So he's going to always be brought back into that life, and so. Yeah, so for me, hearing about the fifth John Wick, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the John Wick films.
Yeah,
I've seen all of them. My favorite's the first one, but I love all four. And yeah, there's a part of me that definitely wants to see a fifth one, but I'm just worried that they're gonna jump the sharks, so to speak. Because and then the other thing as well is Keanu Reeves is I think 60 now. And so since
he's
he
getting
does,
up there. Wow.
yeah, and he does all his own stunts. So then it's to be like, okay, well, I mean, I'm sure he's going to be like well prepared for the role, but at some point these need to end, and if it did have to end, perhaps the fourth one was the best way to end it.
Yeah.
So
I'm concerned that this feels like the people who were making it were like, hey, fourth one, we're done. Hey guys, we've wrapped it up, we're calling it, and then the studio was like, but money though.
Yeah,
that's the concern, right?
Which I was watching one of the reviewers online, I forget who it was, and when they were discussing whether this news was good or bad, they said, well, look, I mean, it just makes sense because from a business standpoint, in terms of how sequels normally function, usually there's a decrease and there's a fall off. Yeah. John Wick's the opposite. Every movie has actually gotten more and more money at the box office, and critically, they've all been very consistent. So I can see a studio being like,
well, we can't let that. That's a cash cow, right?
This is a great investment in the John Wick franchise, because the first one was kind of like a sleeper hit. It was unexpected, and then the second one came out, and then it built off. It ended off a cliffhanger, and then the third one built on that, and then. John Wick just became this iconic action star, and just the way the action was filmed, a lot of people gave it credit to revitalizing or just making action films more popular. Because, I mean, right now, specifically in the superhero genre, that's where I guess most of the action films kind of are. But in terms of just straightforward action heroes, the John Wick franchise definitely, I guess, brought that back. So...
yeah, like I'm kind of curious. It just feels like you could have invested into other action stuff. You were like, oh, we have the John Wick formula. Let's just or maybe let's expand out the John Wick universe without John Wick in it, right?
Yeah,
because you have the hotel,
which is one of the coolest things about it. Even when the first one came out, people were like, this whole like Hitman Hotel world building thing's really cool, and it's great how the other movies expand on those rules, but there's actually a spin-off of The Continental as a TV show. I think it's on Amazon.
Oh, okay.
It's based off of one of the managers of the hotel. His name's Winston. It's him when he's a lot younger. I think it's the New York-based Continental. Yeah. I heard it was all right. And then there's also Ballerina, another spin-off from the John Wick franchise.
So they had been spinning up John Wick. So it probably wasn't as big then without John Wick. Without Keanu Reeves then, is what I'm thinking then.
Yeah, like there's the film franchise itself is enough that it can warrant the spin-offs, but the Continental I don't think was, or the Continental TV series wasn't like excessively popular.
Yeah.
I think the Ballerina movie is going to be fairly well hyped, also because a lot of people like the actress that plays in it. I forget her name. I think it's Anna de Armas. Actually,
I have no idea, but
let's quickly search that up.
Here's the thing: I didn't even know John Wick had spin-offs. So
yeah, it's it just kind of goes to show how successful the franchise is now that there's
multiple spin-offs, let alone just one. Okay, so
yeah, and I think Keanu Reeves is supposed to make an appearance as John Wick briefly in the Ballerina movie as well, from what I hear.
Okay. Well, yeah.
So and so I guess for myself, I'm interested, and of course I'm gonna still be seeing these movies, but they had to keep topping the outlandish action in each one. And the fourth one, they had a really cool over the head. It was like a over the top.
Oh yes, yes.
Continuous. It was the dragon breath scene where he like had this
like this bird eye view where he's going through this like house and he's fighting. Yeah, that was a cool scene. I like that.
And the guy's like shooting fire and all that. Yeah, like they have to. I mean, they can get creative. So I'm all here for it, but I don't want them. Like what people were saying is like, don't go Fast and Furious franchise on them where you're just making like 10 plus movies and it just gets to the point where it's so absurd.
Man, you gotta let Keanu Reeves rest. The Matrix is continuing past his death, and now John Wick's continuing past his death.
Yeah,
they won't let Keanu Reeves die. Apparently, he's too popular.
Yeah, exactly. So who knows? Like if this is they'll keep making more spin-offs or Keanu Reeves will just
eventually be like, I'm tired. I'm like 60, guys. I can't keep doing this.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on that. So again, looking very forward to that. So.
No. Okay.
So Tate, what is your topic?
Aliens.
Okay.
A lot of people think we discovered aliens on a planet. I believe it's called K28b.
Which where is that about?
It's like 120 light years away. It's not in our solar system.
Is it like a recent discovery?
This is like yesterday or today. A lot of people think so. Here's the thing, though. They found basically, I think they found some stuff that according to humans we don't know anything but plankton to create in that planet, and it is like an ocean planet. It is a planet that has liquid water on it, which is kind of one of the big requirements for life as far as we know.
Yeah.
Probably, it's never aliens, dude.
No,
it's never aliens.
It's not like intelligent life. It's just...
Well, I don't think it's life at all.
Yeah.
I think it's just like, don't get me wrong. I do think there's probably life out there somewhere.
As big as the universe is, like when you see those documentaries and they kind of show you, okay, this is a solar system. They zoom out. This is a galaxy, and there's however many, X number of, and then you zoom out and you see all those specks and they're galaxies. You're like, okay, there's such an unfathomable amount.
Like there's trillions of planets,
yeah.
And so it would be very ignorant to think, oh, we're one in a few hundred trillion or something, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's probably not life. It's probably just something that we don't quite understand yet, and then once we get a better understanding, we'll be like, hey, like, it's not life, but it's furthered our knowledge of chemistry.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of like this, I think it was Jupiter a little while ago. It was Jupiter or Venus that we thought there was potentials of life. There was like these gas pockets, which were releasing some chemical that we thought. Yeah, it was a few years ago. And
interesting.
Basically, it turned out we just didn't have a full understanding of how this could have happened without life, and it just furthered our understanding of that, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is just going to be the same thing.
People kind of jumping the gun with it.
People jumping the gun, people getting a little too excited. And the thing is, because this is happening more and more recently because of I can't remember the telescope name right now. Is it the James
Hubble?
Webb? Yeah, the Hubble.
Yeah.
No, James Webb. It's one of those.
Okay.
We're just getting a lot more science news in space, and so that we're just finding a ton of new things, just rapidly getting new stuff, and so a lot of I think people are getting burnt out with how much new stuff we're getting.
Okay.
And it's like, oh, scientists are like, oh, this could be an indicator of life, and then people are like, it's life. It's life in space, and they're like, no, hold on.
It's like they're getting their hopes up, and then the journalists run with it, and then they get disappointed, and then it overshadows the other interesting discoveries that isn't maybe necessarily intelligent life, but...
It's still something very cool.
Yeah, it's still something cool in its own right. Yeah.
Exactly, and so this was just something that happened very recently, but... Again, I'm not a space researcher. I'm not even a chemist or a biologist. I am a computer scientist and somewhat medical researcher. Not much, but it's probably nothing Here, okay.
Sounds cool though.
Sounds cool. Here, how about this? In 2030, the Europa Clipper is going to Europa. Europa is the one thing we know might have life in our solar system.
Yeah.
It has
That's one of Jupiter's.
Yeah, it's one of Jupiter's moons.
Yeah, there's I have heard of Europa because is that the one where like there's water that they've discovered either under the ice or
there's a liquid ocean under the ice, and that liquid ocean is so huge that if you covered Earth in it, there'd be no land, even without our ocean.
Yeah,
if you just swapped the oceans, Earth would just be covered.
Yeah, I've definitely heard a lot of promise with Europa. I'm not as well versed in that moon as much as the listeners, Tate and I have talked about this before, but I'm a very passionate person about Titan, one of Saturn's moons.
Okay.
That was another one that was prominent for life as well. Most likely it doesn't have it, but the reason why it was so promising is because...
Is there a liquid ocean on Titan as well? I think there is, yes.
Yeah, it's liquid methane, and it rains liquid methane, and it has seasons. So the way like the landscape of Titan is it's the most... I believe it's the most Earth-like object in space, in the sense that like there's weather there's like technically seasons. And like it rains, but it rains liquid methane, and it has like hills and valleys and like sand dunes. So the pictures from the satellite that was sent there, I believe it was around 2005, we got good pictures of it. It looks like oh wow, this could be like Earth, you know? I mean, well, like in a very similar sense of how like the landscape is. Now, I mean, is there life on it? Probably not. I mean, one, it's like way cold. Yeah. So and for like a bunch of other reasons. Oh yeah, and also Titan has a very dense atmosphere.
Oh yeah.
So in terms of the debate comes up in some like science related spaces where what's a better place to settle on, you know, Mars or Titan? And there's actually an interesting argument that we can settle on Titan. The obvious downside is it's much colder and way more further away. It takes about 7 years, I believe, to travel there.
Versus like 6 months to Mars, yeah.
Or is Mars 6 months?
Mars is under a year, yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, let's confirm that.
Yeah, let's just look at this
up.
I
feel like I want to say I almost heard somewhere that it was 4 years, depending. Well, I guess it depends how fast you go.
Well, in space, like you just need to get up to speed, right? And then you just go. Time to travel to Mars. This is a weird podcast. We pull out our phones and research.
Mars.
7 to 10 months.
Oh, 7 to 10 months. Okay,
Yeah.
why was I thinking 4 years?
Time to travel to Titan.
For some reason I had 4 years.
At least 7 years. You got that right.
Okay. Well, there we go. Yeah. So yeah, Titan for 7 years, and what else? Oh yeah. So since there's like resources on Titan, like there's not many resources on Mars, I don't believe, and also Mars doesn't have much of an atmosphere, barely any.
Yeah, no, Mars is dangerous. Like,
yeah, and so there's like different. So I think someone was saying about like terraforming might be easier on Titan. I can't officially confirm all the logistics. It's above my knowledge.
Let's just release a ton of CO2 on Titan and global warm it.
So
climate change.
But yeah, so you know, Titan was just interesting because it's so much like Earth, but probably not life. And the other one that might have possibility of life is Triton.
Triton, yeah.
I forget what moon that's from. Is that
I don't know offhand. Okay, pulling out the phones again.
I used to like be really passionate about like the moons of the different planets, and I can't remember. I want to say it's Neptune.
It's Neptune, Triton. Come on, phone. Spell it right, please. But yeah.
Oh yeah. It's the largest natural satellite of the planet Neptune. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice. Yeah. So Europa, Triton, maybe Titan.
Yeah.
Definitely some possibilities.
But
for life in our solar system.
did you know there's a Europa Clipper getting there in 2030?
I did not know that.
Okay,
No.
and they're gonna. So here's how Europa handles it. Is the reason why we're so interested in Europa over other moons in our universe or in our solar system with liquid oceans is because Europa's been a liquid ocean for a lot longer. And so there's more chance for life to develop. And that's why humanity's a lot more interested in Europa. And so it's cool because Europa has these heat vents under the moon or under the ice, which release a lot of heat. And we also think that is a potential reason why life became a thing on Earth.
Okay.
So what this Clipper is going to do in 2030, once it gets there, it's already launched, it's on its way, is it's going to fly through some geysers because Europa releases water in like a volcano type fashion. So we're going to have the Clipper fly through some geysers and then analyze that for life.
Okay.
And so we think there's a decent possibility it finds it. And if there is life on Europa, that means life is a lot more common in our universe than we thought. Because 2 solar systems with life is kind of odd. Or two planets with life. I know it's a moon, but it's basically a planet by definition. Is crazy for a solar system. So 2030, mark your calendar, 5 years.
Interesting. I think there's also another satellite going to Titan as well.
Yeah.
I heard about that was launching or is on its way. Yeah, so I think that was supposed to actually land on it. But there's definitely some really cool stuff with science in terms of us discovering those new things there, which definitely shape the way that we perceive the universe, and also to that as well, because you had mentioned something about essentially the like shaping our perception about life being more common than we previously thought.
Yeah.
So that's my whole thing with like the idea of trying to calculate the likelihood of extraterrestrial life, in the sense that we're only basing it off of ourselves.
Yeah.
Because, like, we don't know if the other building blocks for life, like, does life always have to be carbon based? You know?
Yeah, we don't know.
Like, maybe it doesn't need water. Maybe it doesn't. Like,
is life always oxygen or hydrogen? Sorry, we know some life on Earth doesn't need oxygen, but it's always needed water, hydrogen.
Yeah,
which I guess has oxygen in it. H2.
close enough.
Close enough. But yeah, so there is life that doesn't need oxygen the same way we do, but they still need water. So as far as we're concerned, life always needs H2O because we've never found anything without it. But who knows? Life could evolve.
Or like, because we have this perception of like it has to have, like, we talk about like exoplanets in the what's it called, hospitable zone, or the not the
hospitals. These planets are super welcoming.
That's not the right word. Habitable zone.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And there's been some planets, like exoplanets, I'll like hear about, and people are like, oh, like this one might be like the there was one called Gliese 581G or 581C. There was a C, G, and people were speculating if, you know, it was in like the right range for it, and just guessing, however they guess about what the surface area was like.
Yeah.
And there's been a ton of these exoplanets that are always being discovered with this new hype around, is it in the right environment for life? And, you know, with regards to it needs the right temperature, it needs water, like carbon, like there's all these things that we're modeling after us. And even for us, we're not even 100% sure how we fully came to be. So,
like, we think that we were covered with ice a few times before life happened, kind of like Europa. So.
Yeah. So we could discover something that could just change our perception, and there's so much stuff out there that we don't know. And even in the observable solar system and just beyond that, we're always shaping our perception of that. So our criteria for life, or what we think could have life, could change.
It could change, absolutely.
Yeah, so definitely some exciting times, but no, I don't think that we've been visited by aliens yet, because, and Tate, this is actually something that you brought forth.
How long ago was this? Oh no,
this was years and years
Okay.
ago, when you were talking about like the Great Filter, and you had first mentioned that. Then I went down like the rabbit hole and did a bunch of research on that, and you know, it is eye opening, the different stages in terms of what a civilization has to go through in order to be sophisticated enough and just technologically advanced to travel to each solar system.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, it would have to be so far in advance that if they were to visit us, that would mean that we wouldn't even stand a chance. There wouldn't be a need for them to be all secretive.
No.
Like, they would just show up and just, well, do whatever they were going to do, whether they wanted to be friendly with us or create war.
Like, the way I look at it is, it seems like the more our society becomes technologically advanced, the kinder our society has gotten, right? Because think about, like, 200 years ago. Think about the cruelty in those wars. So the way I see it is, like, there's no reason for me to think different about other species as well. And so I can't imagine they have, like, a huge vendetta against other life.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if they're so much more technologically advanced, here's the thing: our thought process is probably like way below their average. So, like,
Yeah.
it would be hard to judge.
That's true, because they would have weathered the storm, so to speak, and going through those stages, and yeah. But
Like, there's probably one thing: is they're probably a tribal species, because tribal species tend to get a lot further, like humans. Because that's the reason we got so far, is because we're tribal and we band together and learn how to work together. So,
yeah, sociable. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so no, it's definitely an interesting topic, and one that you're fascinated with. Like, when you look out into the stars, you're always curious about all those places out there that we'll never get to see. But then it's also terrifying, because you're like, it's like, are we all alone? That's terrifying. And then if there's something else out there,
That's also terrible.
that's also terrifying. So really, it's terrifying either way. Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of people take comfort in the idea that we're all alone, and I'm like, probably not. It's just, I don't think the aliens came here and helped us build the pyramids. I'm gonna be honest.
No, like, there's more. I don't think there's anything intelligent, like anything that's like super intelligent in our galaxy, because we would have been visited by now. That's like the Fermi paradox. Like, you know, it kind of works like the Great Filter theory, where it's like, there's enough time out there, in theory, enough of the building blocks of life in our own galaxy, that if there was going to be a civilization that could migrate to different solar systems and different planets, that we should have been visited. So
Yeah.
if we haven't, then there's a filter that's preventing them. So maybe there was a civilization like ours,
Yeah.
where way off somewhere else in the Milky Way galaxy that was far enough that we couldn't detect it. They had already, you know, developed a civilization, and then maybe there was something that just prevented them from going to the next stage.
Yeah.
And that filter is something that's ahead of us that maybe we could face, or maybe we are ahead of the filter. There's no way of knowing what this filter is. Are we ahead or are we behind?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, we don't know if the filter is just self-destruction as well. Because, like, for example,
Yeah.
Mars had liquid oceans as well.
Yeah.
And so we don't know what if there was life? We would never know. That was billions of years ago.
Yeah.
And so, like, the filter might just be self-destruction. Because we're kind of on our way. Like,
Yeah, it could be a lot of different things. So, yeah, I mean, it's not looking good for us. So, yeah, so it's just really tough to say, like, whether or not, like, if there was life that was that advanced, and then at what point, like, if so, at what point could they not get to that next level?
Yeah.
And then that being perhaps a pattern for all the other intelligent life out there. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a cool thought, but I kind of wanted to talk about it because it was recent and I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
All right, do you have another topic? We could also end it here. We're at 30 minutes.
We could. Let's see.
Let's just go another topic.
Yeah.
You had another one, right? That was
Yeah.
kind of like topical to the time.
So this one would be a good one in a similar vein.
Okay.
So in the realm of science.
Okay.
So this was the one that I was thinking you might have heard about.
It's a potential, yeah.
So the dire wolf.
Oh, the dire wolf. Okay.
Yeah. So in terms
I
of,
have heard about this.
Yeah. So for the listeners that don't know, the dire wolf went extinct. I forget how many years ago.
Like hundreds of millions of years ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
And so some through genetic engineering, and I think this has kind of been exaggerated a little bit, but they say, oh, we brought back the dire wolf. Technically, they made genetic modifications to make it look like the dire wolf, but...
And behavioral... Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Yeah, I have heard about this. I watched a Hank Green video about it, but that's about... And I've did a little bit of research, but not too much. But okay. The dire wolves are like 15% dire wolf. And the rest is gray wolf.
Okay.
And so, like, it's mostly a gray wolf. It's just a bigger...
With some modifications made to it.
Yeah, and, like, okay, here's the thing. That's still very cool. That's still, like, a new species, right? That's still extremely cool.
And the whole, like, realm of genetic engineering, that's a Pandora's box, right?
Yeah, that is a Pandora, because, like, designer babies and stuff. Like, that stuff is, like... Stuff has happened.
Yeah.
And it is happening in ways of, like, oh, you can choose... Like, the way we're doing
Playing God.
the way we're doing genetic engineering right now is we're looking at, like, specimens and saying, oh, this one has more of a chance of, like, heart failure. Mm-hmm. Or this one has more of a chance of Down syndrome. And, like, you get to kind of pick. Like, to avoid health problems. That's
the
way
ethical is...
We're doing it in the hope of healthier children. Obviously, there was a man in China that did not follow that and just kind of did designer children. Like, I want blue eyes. I want blonde hair.
Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, we're kind of down this rabbit hole right now. But
And then the other thing with that too is, what do you consider maybe a weakness? Like, let's say someone who is autistic or on the spectrum, and if there was a way to detect that genetically, I'm not too sure how that would look.
like,
And then it's like, but that's not a flaw. That's just a different way of how they process. And then like
yeah,
like you can get into some very dicey territory with
Like-
what you consider a flaw. You know what
exactly.
I mean?
It's like, oh, this one has more of a chance to be ADHD. It's like, oh, okay, well, is that a flaw? I don't know. Like, it's their mind is going to work differently, but is that a flaw? Again, like you said, autism. A lot of the most powerful and
Very smart people.
very smart people
Yeah.
are autistic, and it's because they tunnel, right?
Yeah.
They tunnel hard. They're like, oh man, I love like computer science, and then they just become Bill Gates and make Microsoft. Obviously, he had other partners as well, but
Yeah.
so that's a hard one. Like,
Because then it's like, there's some like even amazing artists who have mental health problems, but in order to like it just in their art, some of them have expressed like by going through the different trials and tribulations of their mental health struggles,
yeah,
it has shaped them into the person that they are, and they've used it to express their pain and basically made art from their pain. And then like you can really get into some ethical territory with that where it's problematic.
we're running up against a lot of ethical problems right now, because the thing is, we have all the progress to do genetic engineering, and we're not. And we could be like, I want a child with blue eyes, blonde hair, and you could be like, yeah, let's do that. Fully, we could do that. It's just we're not, and eventually, human restraint isn't that strong.
Yeah.
Eventually, we're gonna do it. And we have to put systems in place to make sure we do it properly and ethically.
Yeah.
But like it's a tough one because our ethics and it hasn't evolved to the current situation. I feel like our ethics are already kind of like wonky from social media. I don't think we figured out social media yet. And then we're moving on to AI, and OpenAI is like, oh, general AI in like 10 years. I don't believe that. But I'm not an AI researcher. It's not something I do. I just don't believe CEOs because they have kind of an ulterior motive of investment. So we're running up against the AI ethical thing. And then we're running up against the use of AI ethical thing. Of like, are you actually creating something when you're using AI? Yes, no, up to you. I don't know. I don't have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
A lot of people use it, a lot of people don't. I don't know. It's a tool. You can't go back from a new tool, right?
Yeah, once you open it up and start playing God, then,
But like, okay, like say you got like a shovel. You're like, you're caveman, you're unga bunga guy. I don't know what I'm saying. And all of a sudden someone shows up with a shovel and you're like, no, I'm not using this new tool. That's never happened, right?
No, it's usually when you introduce something, it becomes slowly
It becomes
accepted,
like
becomes
quickly
the norm.
standardized, right?
Yeah.
And so AI is kind of in the same thing. And it's the same thing of genetic engineering of like, we have these things we can do, but we're being very cautious with them and like, good, because we don't know the ramifications of using it.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I'm very curious to see long-term effects of AI in education because people aren't going to write their own essays. It's okay. Imagine this, like cursive writing. It was kind of like dying when we were in school, right?
Yeah.
And now almost no one writes in cursive writing. And so at this point, it's kind of like a lost art.
Yeah.
And so is writing in general going to become that? And then if writing in general becomes a lost art, then what is humanity going to be?
Carries off on a trail of situations where we become more reliant on technology more and more, and then we shift over to more of those practices.
But then what are going to be the effects on the human mind? Are we going to get dumber? Or are we going to get intelligent in very different areas?
Yeah, that's tough to say. I think in some cases we'll be reliant and we'll be probably, as you say, more intelligent in those certain instances. But then depending on, it's tough to say.
And then there's another problem of AI is starting to take the role of companionship for some people. And here's the problem is, okay, so here's what Italy did. AI companions became a thing in Europe, in Italy. And Italy said, no, this is a bad thing. Banned it. And some research was done by psychologists on this. And those people who lost that AI that they were talking to, they grieved it like they would grieve a friend that died. That friend was real to them. And we're in this loneliness epidemic because people are more isolated than ever and antisocial than ever. And so we're kind of replacing it a little bit with AI. But then also we're putting in regulations that you can't replace it with AI, and then just actually killing people's friends.
Yeah.
We're in a weird spot right now.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of...
I don't have answers to this stuff. This is just stuff I've heard and researched, but I keep coming back to this. I don't think we figured out social media yet. Because there's things like TikTok, which has evidence to suggest that it is dramatically lowering attention rates. And I can't imagine the poor ADHD people that use it who already have a low one. It's just...
Yeah, and then too, even going back to the direwolf thing, like the other...
Oh yeah, we started on direwolves. I'm sorry, I got off topic.
Oh, good. But like on that same note of opening up that Pandora's box of a new invention with the other problems.
Yeah.
One of the articles that I read basically said that this might create a bit of an issue because it could start the trend where, in terms of helping extinct species, but in terms of because right now some of these groups are trying to prevent those species from going extinct.
Yes.
So instead, they may be trying to focus on just bringing them back from the quote-unquote dead.
Okay, yeah.
And so there's just other problems in terms of how we view that, and so on. So some of these groups were just upset because then the focal point of the conversation is now shifted to just now we don't need to.
No, we don't need to conserve our
which,
species,
and some species and in the case of like the direwolf, like they're not recreating the exact direwolf.
They're not recreating the exact direwolf, and the direwolf has no place in the current world.
Right, it's technically an invasive species. You call it when you bring.
If you release it, it'd be a huge invasive species.
Yeah, it would just So
realistically, it'd probably just take the place of a gray wolf. Like, yeah, the direwolf probably could survive, but it's just ecosystems. Wildlife ecosystems are so complicated. Could you imagine introducing another species, like another wolf? Like, what does that do? I don't understand.
would that be just create the domino effect and like just shift everything out of proportion?
It could.
Like the paradigm.
I'm not an ecosystem. I keep saying I'm not all these things. I'm not. I've said what I am.
So, as a disclaimer, Tate and I are not experts. We're just
two
going. People just having fun speculating.
Again, I'm a researcher, but I'm a researcher in art creation and some medical stuff, very specific medical stuff, and I am not someone trained in medical procedures.
We just have the curiosity of the scientists.
I'm an eye tracking researcher. You could say I'm an expert in eye tracking. That's about it.
These
with a general curiosity,
and these general curiosities spark these talking points, spark all these different side conversations, and it's it definitely fuels my imagination in terms of like creative writing, which I like to do, and that's one thing like. Though I may not be fully in the realm of science in terms of breaking down like the numbers and all of that. And like the stats, I love the theory. I love the ethical debates. I love like all that is just great. I mean, what people said in the article is like this feels like Jurassic Park, and that's.
Like, could we revive a dinosaur right now? No.
Nah. And do we want to? Nah. Well,
we might revive the mammoth eventually.
Actually, I think they were saying that
it was something they were saying. Like, obviously, here's the thing. It's okay. We're ramping back around to the direwolves again, and species going extinct. It is a lot more economical to just keep them alive than to remake them. And remaking them is so expensive. It's cheaper to just keep them going than to have to remake them, and you're not going to remake them perfectly. And to remake them, you need a donor. At this point, you need to edit. So for the direwolves, they edited a gray wolf gene and then had a gray wolf surrogate, someone to birth the direwolf. Currently, we need surrogates. That company who made the direwolves said they're working on something that they won't need surrogates, so they can just start editing dramatically and then birth these things with no species involved, technically, except a donor species to like modify. But I don't know. It's not economical to revive. I don't think it's economical to just be like, oh, we'll just revive them later. Because the thing is, we don't exactly have all the data. And so, like, it's not great. I don't think it's great. I think we should focus our efforts on conservation of species that are in danger. Maybe not the panda. I don't know. That one just kind of seems to want to go.
I'm a bit out of the loop on the exact, like, the one that I hear a lot about is the polar bear.
The polar bear, that one needs help.
Yeah.
The polar bear squids need help.
Yeah.
And a lot of species, a lot of it's our fault, but not in the way, like, we're not actually intentionally killing a lot of species. It's just we're moving in and we're destroying their environment, and then they don't know how to survive.
Yeah.
Like, and so if we just handle that better, then we won't be having these problems.
Yeah.
It's just a humanity's kind of a run and gun, do whatever I want. Humanity is literally running with the the idea right now of like it's easier to apologize after the fact than it is to ask permission.
Take action first.
Take action
Apologize
first,
later.
see the ramifications after.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, I thought like the whole direwolf thing was interesting just because of, I mean, it seems so surreal, and I guess they've been doing genetic engineering for a while, and
yeah, this was the same company that was cloning dogs.
okay.
Like a long time ago. Like this company has been at it. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. It's been around for a long time.
Okay.
It's just they sometimes come out and be like, "Oh, a cool thing happened," and it's like, "Great."
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, no, this is exciting / frightening, I guess, much like the aliens, much like any new discovery in science or
Okay.
something.
Would you agree we live in the most exciting but terrifying times in humanity? Because humanity's never been more aware of of everything around us and what we can do than we are right now. Obviously, that's true at any point in history, except maybe the Dark Ages. I don't know. There's probably a lot of lost knowledge there, but
Yeah.
But we're also in a point of huge instability and a lot of new things coming along when we haven't figured out how to properly use the old things yet.
That is a bold question. Honestly, yeah, I mean, that's yeah. It's kind of tough for me to say really. I mean, I think we are in. Sorry, you said wait.
It's the most exciting, but it's also the
Exciting.
most terrifying.
Exciting and terrifying. I think on the level of just on the brink of the discoveries that we're making in terms of like in science. I mean, I think just in my lifetime, right? Like for millennials, we are really seeing technology go at such an exponential rate.
Yes.
Like the amount of changes, like I've noticed, are happening quite frequently in terms of the formats of how we even consume media.
Yeah.
You know, and just the technology as far as that goes. So definitely on like the technological front, just what we are able to do with that and how quickly that's going, and just the fact that in our lifetimes, like me and you, we're really seeing that go at such an exponential rate, and it's happening so fast that we can't keep up with it in terms of like just the implications of being more reliant on technology, and every couple of years, you know, the next, I guess, generation or next like the youth, you know, like they're more attached to their phones now, and so what is in 5-7 years, what is the next, you know, group going to look like in terms of that? And yeah, I mean, you just kind of see like how we don't really have solutions for how we can regulate some of the stuff with technology, some of the stuff with social media. It's just, it's there, and we're just sort of struggling to keep up in terms of how to regulate it, in terms of the effect that it has on us, like long term.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Like,
well,
so.
It's kind of like smoking, where it's like, oh, we can do this cool smoking thing, and then it's like, oh no, it's really bad. And we're finding out a lot about social media, and we're like, oh no, it's not great, and we don't know what to do about it. Like, I don't know, dude. Like, the end of scroll is a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's one of those things where, kind of like most things, if we can use it to our advantage, you know, like some people are very dismissive of the new evolutions in technology and go, it's all bad. It's like, well, no, you need a society to obviously evolve, and there's pros and cons to anything. This is how it is. Change is the only constant. So,
well, and you mentioned Pandora's box earlier, right? You can't close it.
No.
It's here. Sorry.
Yeah.
AI is not going to go away. AI is definitely going to be shifted in its opinion of what it will be doing. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, devs are starting to get hired a little bit more because everyone's like, oh, I don't need to hire devs anymore. AI is going to do it.
Yeah.
Turns out, kind of sucks at development. Like, a lot. But it could do a lot of great things. And I don't know, dude. I have no idea where society is going, but I'm here for it. I'm here for it, and I'm scared. I just wish people would educate themselves more on these new things.
Yeah.
That's my one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's well, we got a lot of.
We went way over time.
I was thinking like with like the dire wolf that kind of opened up a Pandora's box.
Yeah.
If you will.
Exactly.
So, well, Tate, do you have any other topics that you want to talk about?
We're pushing 50 minutes. I think we're gonna call it here.
Sounds good. Well, yeah. So hopefully you have some good thoughts to ponder as we talk about some new scientific discoveries.
We're not experts.
No, we are definitely not experts, but we are here to add our 2 cents nonetheless.
Or just talk about it. Again, this isn't like, this is just what we've heard. Like, don't take us as an educational resource. Do your own research.
Yeah.
Get on Google Scholar. If you're in university, your university has a library that you can access tons of research papers on.
Peer reviewed.
Okay. Here's a hot tip for you guys. If you find a research paper that you want and it's behind a paywall, just message the researcher. They'll probably just send it to you. Researchers don't get paid per download. Like, if you buy it, the researcher gets nothing. The researcher's already been paid by the company who's selling it. So just, but they're allowed to give it away. If you request it, they're allowed to just send it to you. So there's a hot tip. If you want a research paper, and it's behind a paywall and you can't find a PDF of it, just message them and ask.
Okay.
Like, if you asked for, if I got an email saying, "Hey, Tay, can you send me your research paper?" I'd be like, "Yeah, here you go." Like,
well, there you go. I guess some useful tips for how you can acquire some like good knowledge.
Get more knowledge, get good.
Awesome.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
See you guys.